Candace Fehr is a social worker and a parent with lived experiences of Alberta's child and youth mental health systemic care interventions. Her work with CASA as co-chair for the Family Advisory Council since 2014 resonates with her desire to see families regarded as integral within child and youth mental health interventions, therefore supporting whole family wellness. Candace is committed to increasing community knowledge, tolerance, and compassion regarding mental health. Candace believes that community has the capacity to create change.
Well, thank you so much, Ashley. Thank you to M.A.P.S as well, M.A.P.S Global Event, for having me here, and Your Holistic Earth, Jenny, for believing in my story and my capacity to offer value today. Yeah, I'm just very grateful, and I'm grateful to begin Your Holistic Earth Day with you guys. Before I carry on, though, it's really important to me that I would love to give thanks to Creator and to Mother Earth for this amazing and beautiful day. I want to give acknowledgement to the fact that I live, work, and play on Treaty 6 territory. That's traditional land for the Cree, Dene, Saulteaux, Métis, and Nakota Sioux. And after much intentional reflection, I've made my commitment to further my learnings and to do my role in seeking truths about historical and present day traumas experienced by our Canadian Indigenous peoples. I feel that I have to seek truth to understand so that reconciliation may be possible. And I just want to end this acknowledgement by stating that September 30th in Canada is our first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation, and I couldn't be prouder. Thank you. So, as Ashley alluded to, my name is Candace Fehr, and I am coming to you today, joining you all today to share with you my story about being a parent and my lived experience in mental health systemic care, as Ashley alluded to. Also, my experiences as a mental health advocate in community and nationally. And then also, my experiences with a vast amount of toxic stress in my parenting and lived experience journey, and how I combated that. What did I do in my journey? So my hope today is to take you through some of that, but also at the end provide 5-10 minutes for question and answer, as Jenny had alluded to earlier today. So let's get into my story. It's one that I've shared for the past decade, and one that I have grown to be very proud of, absolutely. So what I want to share that is in 2011, I separated in my marriage, and that had a great impact on not only myself, but my children as well. And in 2013, my daughter, who was 13 at the time, began to have severe suicidal ideations, had a few attempts at suicide, etc. And I was seeking services as a single parent in a state of desperation, if you may. What's ironic about my journey and my story, and why I say, I have this experience with toxic stress, is that at the same time, unbeknownst to myself as a parent, my son, who was 10, was born with a complete heart blockage, and I didn't know that. And what happened was we had an emergency situation, and found my son, in need of a pacemaker. So ironically, at the same point of time in my life, I had a daughter who was 13 in intervention services, highest level that I could find at CASA. I'll come back to that, which meant that she lived away from me during the week, and she would come home on the weekends. And then corresponding, my son, who has his heart condition, we find ourselves at the ICE at Stollery here in Edmonton, Alberta, Stollery Hospital. What's unique about my story, you guys, is the fact that when I was in the medical system as a parent, so at the Stollery with my son and his heart, I never once was asked, what did you do to make your son's heart this way? Respectfully, though, on the other end, when my daughter was in interventions, I was met with a lot of judgment and a lot of assumptions, and very blatantly questions such as, what did you do to make your daughter this way? And as a social worker in community and providing care and support for many families, I was astounded. The fact that I could be in different systems and be treated so differently, but yet I'm the same parent. And the things that I learned, you guys, are really what I want to share with you today. But more importantly, at the end of this journey through the hospital and with CASA at Intervention Services for my daughter, it's what I did that makes me very proud. I walked up to the CEO of the nonprofit organization and I thanked her tremendously for the 4 months of intervention services, which had its benefits for my family. But I also shared with her the fact that I knew that there were moments that services could have been better for me and my family, that services could have supported me and uplifted me and helped me gain confidence as a parent rather than strip that away. And so I asked her if she was interested in hearing my feedback. And CASA's CEO, Child, Adolescent, Family Mental Health, was very brave and said, yeah, I do want to hear your story. And so I shared with the CEO. And at the end of my story, she said in 2014, you know what, Candace, we need a family advisory council and you are our co-chair. So in 2014, I took on that role and I maintain it to present day. But before I go on, I just want to show you a little bit about why I'm here today and who CASA, Child, Adolescent, Family Mental Health, is in Alberta and who the Family Advisory Council is. So I'm going to screen share. I'm hoping this will go smoothly. And it's a short 1.5-minute video, just tells you a little bit about my passion and why I do what I do. Here we go. You can see my screen? Good.
We at CASA believe families play a key role in a child's physical and mental well-being. In order for children to get the necessary treatment needed, families must play a collaborative role with the mental health team. We believe this will improve future outcomes for children.
CASA's Family Advisory Council, better known as FAC, is a group of passionate family members representing many different perspectives and experiences committed to supporting others in their journey. Our mission is to raise awareness and help combat the stigma and barriers surrounding children's mental health and youth addiction.
CASA believes families are vital and valuable advisors to health service providers across the spectrum of delivery. Family input into program development, implementation, and evaluation ensure that services are truly family-centered.
The purpose of Family Advisory Council is to engage families by inviting their feedback to improve CASA services. We at the FAC achieve this by raising awareness about mental health and empowering families to bring their perspectives to the youth team. We also attend CASA fundraising events and present to board members regarding family needs. The FAC welcomes all family voices with lived experience in mental health. For more information, please visit casaservices.org.
All right, thank you so much for taking the time to view that with me. So that just kind of sums up the passion for me. I want to add another layer to my story here and just add in that at the time of my son's heart condition and my daughter struggling with her mental health, albeit very vulnerably, all of us, you know, struggling with our mental health and well-being at that point in time, I actually had a partner as well who unfortunately was diagnosed with a brain tumor. And so at the same time, we're going through this brain tumor surgery. I look back now and I think, how did I ever make it through? What were those protective factors for me? And so my presentation today, my speaking, is really about who cares for the caregiver and why? Why does that need to matter? Why do we need to make it important? So before I begin, I just want to relay, what's the terminology of caregiver? And I think the better question really for our audience today would be, who amongst us is not a caregiver? Because really to caregive means that you are supporting or looking after someone in a fashion where you're adding or contributing positivity to their life, right? And so really, I believe that most of us are caregivers in some way. And you know what? We are caregivers to our own selves as well, okay? So what I want to say is that with working with hundreds, if not thousands of families in and around Edmonton area, and including my beautiful, amazing council at the FAC, I have learned a lot of things. And what I've learned, you guys, is that every person and every family is unique. This is really important. Super, super important. I need to share right now globally, and I think it's just amazing that I get to do this, but I need to share again the fact that people know what is best for them. We have our own answers inside of us. What we need is we need a supportive culture to help us explore and draw those answers out. So in other words, I don't know what's best for you. You know what's best for you. And the reason I'm so passionate about this is because of my experience within the mental health system. I was given a lot of unhelpful advice. I was, again, assumptions made about who I was as a parent and the things that I should do. Nobody really took the time to stop to ask me, what do you want? In our mental health systemic services, we're very good at handing out pieces of paper or phone numbers that say, here, call this place, they'll give you help. But unfortunately, once you've walked the walk or talked the talk, you know it's not that easy, at least here in Canada. And I presume internationally as well. Yeah. So many judgments, so many assumptions that I made the commitment to park those myself when I am in community helping other people. I do not know until you tell me so. Healing for me has come full circle, and I really legitimately had to break down to build up. I'm at a point right now in my life where my children are young adults, they're in university, and I get a lot of community feedback saying, wow, your children are amazing, they're so great, they're this, they're that, and I validate all of that. But what community doesn't understand is that our greatness came from being immersed in crisis and learning how to navigate that crisis in a way that would bring meaning to our lives. Not easy. Not easy at all. So I had to face my own darkness in order to bring my family to light. And I think as a parent or a caregiver, this is essential. You know, I often am asked by parents, you know, what is it? What can I do? And I think the best thing that we can do is get in touch with ourselves, right? What is it about the experiences that we're having in our lives that impact us? What are the messages there? What are our takeaways? And again, this is not easy. This is a journey, but it's one that's well worth the effort. Because what I realized is that while I explored my own darknesses, my own, you know, yin and yang, if you will, I was teaching my children to do the same and to embrace their wholeness, their whole selves. So I really, truly have no way of capturing for you all the true extent of my story, but I can share with you, obviously, my vulnerabilities. And it's just some learnings and some acceptances that I want to be able to push forward here this morning, just in efforts to, as Jenny Rice had alluded to, ensure that other families, caregivers, parents have some tools in their back pockets, or maybe at some point they can hear Candace's voice, you know, saying, hang in there, we got you. So one of the things that I've learned is Brene Brown. Dr. Brene Brown is right. Okay, I love that woman. And what she says is, assume everyone is doing their best. Man, in my journey, that's all I wanted, you guys. You know, I just wanted to scream, but I'm doing my best with what I have. I'm doing my best. And sometimes the people I interacted with couldn't hold that belief for me, couldn't hold that assumption. And it impacted me again in how I showed up, not only for my family, but how I showed up for my community. Judgments in mental health are harmful. And there was just so much a decade ago that I did not understand. For example, when my daughter was self-harming, I was told that that was actually a good thing. A decade ago, I couldn't wrap my mind around that. What are you telling me? This is a good thing. But I've since learned the whys of that. And one of the reasons that it was brought to me as a good thing was the fact that self-harm is an outlet, it's a release, and it's not necessarily about death or dying. And I just encourage you to do your own reading and exploration on that. But wow, what an incredible learning. I would never have thought that prior to my own personal journey. Another thing I really want to share with my audience today, and I'm hoping, you know, take in your hearts, if you will, is to beware of the toxic positivity trap. And this is a hot topic right now. I know the last year we've been talking a lot about toxic positivity, and I am here to say that not everything is positive. That if we are to support our caregivers, sometimes we have to let them sit in the suck. Yeah, sit in the suck. Validate them where they're at. Open up that safe space. Allow for compassion. And then we look to moving forward in our journey. But until a caregiver or a parent is validated where they're at, I guarantee you, those that are helpers among us, we stay stuck because we need, again, that validation and that compassion. And this is the appropriate time to also say language use matters. And so moving forward in my journey, this next year is really about focusing on language and language use. We need to become more aware of how we address individuals who struggle with mental health, of the labels that we provide for them, of our even, you know, indiscreet messaging. For example, how many of us use the word crazy on a daily basis? And when we're using that word crazy, what are we alluding to? And I encourage you to just take a step back when you catch yourself saying that and ask yourself, where's the content of that word coming from? What does it mean to me? I've had many conversations with other individuals about language use and the word, like I said, crazy. Some say, Candace, it can be a positive thing. I agree. Again, language use matters in the context and the tone in which we use it. Yeah. So language, be aware of that, please. Next. It is so true. And I heard it this morning in introductions. Find gratitude in each day. This is a simplistic message, but it took me a decade to take into my heart and to appreciate and really to start to master. And I say start to master because I have a long way to go. But for those of you, going back to the toxic positivity, for those of you that say, Candace, I have nothing to be grateful for today, that's okay. I'm here to say, be grateful that you can let it go. That's all right. Embrace our imperfections. We are in a culture, specifically when I look at parenting, where we think we need to be perfect. And again, I am a parent filled with flaws, and yet I have beautiful children who are productive in our community, who are doing great things. And I messed up all the time. So it's okay. Embrace our imperfections. I want to share that I am a community helper. So a social worker by trade, working in nonprofits, really involved with family and youth and children. I also take calls weekly from other parents and caregivers about their youth, strangers, if you will, who come by my number, referred to, etc. And they call me and they entrust me, never having met me, with their stories. Candace, I'm really desperate. Candace, I have a suicidal youth. Candace, I don't know what I'm doing. And what I do for them, you guys, is not anything huge by way of tools. What I really do is I provide a safe, connective space, again, for these caregivers to express their emotions, to explore their own answers. And I'm very aware that there is no one-size-fits-all approach to mental health. Again, I go back to the uniqueness of each individual and family. Rather, what we should be looking at is a supportive approach, and one that can be tailored to best suit the needs of the individual or of the family. Again, it's not enough to give a sheet or a piece of paper that says, here's the 5 steps to bring you to enlightenment. That's just not helpful to families. I want to say, again, that I embrace, after my journey, the fact that as a social worker, when I work with families, I know nothing until I'm told. And that is the biggest part of my learnings in my journey. I know nothing. And what this does is it helps me stay out of the space of assumptions, and it helps me face my judgments. Sometimes in mental health, we have this illusion that we should be judgment-free. And I'm here to say, with a lot of vulnerability and honesty, I'm not judgment-free, and I never will be. But my commitment is to ensure that I know what my judgments are and that I explore them and that I use that to grow myself. So again, we are not judgment-free, I believe. However, we need to be aware of those judgments, aware of those assumptions, and what we're bringing in to people when they're seeking compassion and validation. The last learning that I want to share with you guys, and this is going to seem again a little bit redundant, but man, it's been a decade of learning for me, is this concept of self-care. And this week is all about this, right? Positive affirmations, building upon our mental health wellness, and all of that has to do with self-care, with our self-worth. And as a caregiver and a parent, I know that when the proverbial hits the fan, the first thing to go is me. The first thing I let go of is my self-care. And so as a community helper, as a mental health advocate, I really, really push in community this concept of self-care. And why do I do this? Well, my message to families is this, and take it and move it forward in the world, please. What I say is self-care means giving the people you love the best of you instead of what's left of you, right? Giving them the best of you instead of what's left of you. And in the times of my crises, it was an effort at times to scrape the bottom of the bucket. And the reason is because with a lot of honesty in my journey, I had to realize that I was not prioritizing myself and I was not making myself worthy. So when it comes to self-care, if you find that that's a challenge, if you find that there are struggles, I encourage you, parent to parent, caregiver to caregiver, explore what those barriers are. And if you can make, Jenny, again, I thank you. I heard you talk about this morning, but if you can make one small tweak, one small adjustment, and allow some space to look after you, that will make a difference, I promise you. And here I am to say today, you are worth it, my friend. You are worthy. And that's a hard concept sometimes for us to take into our hearts. Easier said than done, I know, but I do challenge you all to do the best that you can. I'm grateful to the many parents and caregivers who have entrusted me with their stories, you guys. I'm so grateful to have witnessed the genuine love, care, and concern of other parents and caregivers for their families, for their children. It is so inspiring to me because we all have a journey that we need to honor. I am grateful to CASA, Child, Adolescent, Family Mental Health, for ensuring that their mental health services here in Alberta, they mirror what we seek to have as a family-centered approach to our care, and their commitment to our council and to hearing our voices. It means that lives change, that communities get healthier. And so that's my passion work. I want to say in closing that I'm also extremely grateful to Jenny Rice from Your Holistic Earth and to M.A.P.S Global Events for, seeing value again in my story and who I am and allowing me to share that with you all today. I hope that you all enjoy the week ahead. And I just want to remind you to, take care of yourselves, take care of your families, and if you can, take care of the caregivers. We need that support. We need that compassion and validation. I have a couple minutes here for question and answer. I did see chat lighting up, so by all means, Jenny or Ashley, if you have anything for me, throw it my way. In the meantime, thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you so much, Candace. I think I can speak for the whole room. Mic drop. That was such a beautiful, the notes I've taken, I can't even recap all the incredible nuggets that you share, but I think I'd love to start off by saying, please make sure you read the chat. There weren't questions as of yet, but the comments have been very powerful. So please make sure you read the chat. And I personally want to thank you, and I think I speak for the whole room, for sharing your vulnerability, not only with us here in this space, but having that courage to share your story with that CEO has impacted generations. And you will never see the impact because you may spiritually, but you don't know how far that's going to reach. So thank you so much for stepping into that light and really digging in. Oh my gosh, the sit in the suck. Amen. You guys, we have to feel it so we can move through it. I love that. Be aware of toxic positivity. The key thing is it's only positive, it's soothing and supporting. I love that. Judgment in mental health is limiting. Your personal story, oh my gosh. Who cares for the caregiver? How many of you guys, I literally park the judgment. I was like, this woman's full of amazing one-liners. Assume, and this isn't a one-liner, this is a stance that we should all put in our pillars, is assume everyone is doing their best. Assume that everyone is doing their best. Facing my own darkness so I could lead others to light. If you find any inspiration from this conversation from Candace, I think to me, Candace, that's one of the biggest nuggets that I will take with me, is knowing that it's, I've got to do the work, right? How can I shine the light if I don't do the work? So bring the best of you instead of what's left of you. So, again, I know nothing until I am told. There were so many incredible, powerful, your talk was concise, it was powerful, and it took a ton of wellness nuggets for people. So thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your passion, and you. So grateful. And again, please make sure you read the comments, because there's some great insights and takeaways. So thank you so much, Candace. So appreciative.
Thank you for having me. I really am grateful. And again, move forward in your week, everyone, with lots of blessings and take homes on this week's event.